please subscribe and don't forget to press the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload a new video.
You're with us here on a fresh new edition of Trading Hour. I'm Prashant Nair. With me is my colleague Ekta Batra. The market's doing just fine. 35, 36 odd points in the green. The Sensex is up 90, 91 points. And it is in line with what we've seen overnight global markets doing. I mean, it's actually this week so far been, it should be pretty flat, right? I mean, Monday was not a good day. Yesterday was a good day. And today is kind of a flat day, but not doing badly with 35, 40 odd points. I just want to quickly, before tossing it to Ekta, highlight overnight what happened. So the S&P 500, the big market, and all markets catch a cold when US markets fall a little sick. Well, it's not falling sick, it's actually getting very, very healthy. The S&P 500 is now above the March high, and it's also taken out the double bottom neckline at about 2,802. It's an important indicator, it's an important level which many were watching very closely. What has also happened with yesterday's close is that for the second time this year, only the second time this year, we've seen a bullish outside day. Technicians would tell you it's an extremely positive signal. It's only the second time that this has happened this year. The first happened in April of 2018. The setups, essentially what I'm getting at is that the setups are looking bullish for more. What is the next target? What is the next level to watch out for? It's closer to the 2,900 levels, around which basically was where the S&P 500 was in January of 2018, earlier this year. So that's essentially the trend high that we saw, 2,872 exactly. And then, of course, I mean, people are talking about 3,000 kind of levels, which is a target which you could get if you extrapolate the double bottom move that we've seen. I mean, the market has bottomed out twice. So, if US is any indication, and the big market like US is any indication to go by, it looks like there could be some more risk on for emerging markets as well. I mean, the opposite holds true, which is that the US markets start to look weak. It shows up everywhere. I mean, so this should hold true in a positive way as well. The other bit is oil, and I just want to quickly put out, this is again, so US markets are looking higher, good for more, and oil apparently, according to Citi at least, is looking set for some declines. This is Jeremy Hale of Citi, and let's put the quote out, who says that oil price momentum may have lost steam in the near term. He says they're not turning outright bearish on oil, but don't want to miss out on a technical opportunity given the sizable net long positioning overhang and some markets playing catch up on the bearish tariff trade. But he adds, perhaps also worrisome for oil bulls are underlying developments in the supply backdrop. Jeremy goes on to say that certain output fears are diminishing, supply side fears are diminishing, and eyes are on the major OPEC producers. And this backdrop looks even more worrisome if you add US and Russia to the OPEC supply. So it's a nice kind of setup to have. Oil set for more declines. Let's hope so. I mean, from an India macro perspective, and US stocks looking set to gain more, at least on charts. Ekta, morning.
Hi, Prashant. Absolutely. Well, it's definitely a better macro setup for us this morning. You did mention the global strength, and Brent crude is obviously at around $71 per barrel, so 3-month low for that one. And a lot of the NBFCs which are actually rallying today. So, for example, Indiabulls Housing, which is up around 4%. HDFC, fresh high for that stock at around 2,000 rupees. Bajaj Finance comes out with numbers tomorrow, so that one should come up for you around 2,500 rupees for that one. So you can see that maybe the narrowness of the market continues in terms of a trend, because the mid-cap index performance is actually an underperformance today after yesterday's rally. So it's been really topsy-turvy the entire week for the mid-cap index, currently down around 0.8%. But a lot of stocks in focus. Ashok Leyland, for example, is down 6% post-numbers. Z Entertainment reacting to numbers, and a lot more which will be coming out today, such as the likes of Ultratech Cement, etc. Mindtree from the broader markets also. But let's get talking about the technicals of the market. We have Sudarshan Sukhani joining in for that. Sudarshan, hi, over to you. Are you convinced about this rally that we're seeing?
Yeah, good morning again. Well, I don't have to be convinced about anything. The markets need to be convinced. And we have this strong resistance at 11,080. If and when this resistance is taken out and markets stabilize above this level, they could do it today or tomorrow or whenever, that will tell us that we are willing to break out of a trading range and are probably going higher. The likelihood is that this will happen. If not today, then maybe in a couple of days. But we'll buy only if there's a breakout above 11,080 and there's no rush to buy and get in. We are already long from yesterday. The second trade that comes in is if the Nifty corrects to about 11,020. That is a buy on dips opportunity. So to that extent, yes, the trade is to be long in this market, and an eventual breakout will tell us there is more upside.
But what about the underperformance for the mid-cap index? It's been a roller coaster this week.
It's been a roller coaster. It will remain so. On some days, we'll see some good performance by the mid caps, but on the whole, there are lower levels coming in this segment.
Okay, all right. Specific stocks, if you haven't already mentioned it.
Yes, specific stocks are also, see, the good ones are for buying. Yes Bank is a buy. It's been an outperformer in the private banking sector and continues to do so. The other is Tata Elxsi. While Mindtree is reporting its earnings today, we don't want to go there. We want to buy Tata Elxsi where there is significant strength and outperformance. The one sole short sell is Vedant. Vedant has been a dismal performer, consistently lower lows, lower highs, breaking down of support levels. So it's a short sell for the day. It's intraday, but it's there.
Okay, all right, Sudarshan, we're going to leave it on that note. Thanks very much for joining in and bringing us all of those strategies from the technical space. We have Yogesh Mehta joining in to talk about his calls as well. He's from Motilal Oswal. Yogesh, hi, morning. Your index call as well as your stocks.
Yeah, good morning. Since Nifty has given a false move on day for yesterday's session and went to 10,930, but from that retraced back and the whole erosion was recouped. We feel that 11,080, as Mr. Sukhani also mentioned, 11,080 we'll be watching out for. If it crosses over on a closing basis, then we can see the surpassing of the previous all-time high of 11,171 on Nifty. So here on the Nifty side, unless it crosses 11,080 spot Nifty, we will be just watching out for the positions on the Nifty side. Till then, we will not be buying. And on individual stock specific, we are recommending heavyweights like HDFC Limited. The current price is 1997 in future segment. Keeping a stop loss of 1975, target could be at the new territory of 2040 levels on the future segment. The other one is again Asian Paint, which is at the new high, new territory. Current price is 1390 in the future segment. Keeping a stop loss of 1368, target could be in the range of 1440 to 1460 level. And we have a sell recommendation. One is India Cement. Current price is around 9,900 rupees, and keeping a stop loss of 104. Target could be in the range of 94 and then 90.
All right, Yogesh, we're going to leave it on that note. Thanks very much for joining in, taking us through those strategies. We have Rallis, which came out with a good set of numbers. That's management. Let's cut across.
And in line with making sure that we have all the materials available for our manufacture, production and supplies to farmers, we have stocked up materials, and in some sense, as I mentioned at the AGM also, our inventory levels have been higher than what we normally would like to keep because we have stocked up materials to make sure that we are not running out of stock, and costs also have been higher across the various materials which are imported. This, of course, in Rabi we have had certain regions and certain crops not performing as well, and therefore the impact of all this is that the cost increases. Some bit of it we had to absorb, some bit of it we had to improve our efficiencies further, and therefore this has put a little pressure on the margins, and this connects to the point I made earlier that during the quarter our margins have been roughly about 1% lower. As the season unfolds and as it picks up and the prices stabilize, we hope to be able to get back to our normal band of the margins. There has been a pressure on cash flow in the marketplace. Cash flow has been tight, but I must say that on our front there has been improved collections, and therefore our position on the debtors part of the working capital is better than what we were in the last quarter. However, as the Kharif season unfolds, this is again going to be an important aspect of the operations.
Okay, so that is Rallis India, Tata Group company, 2% higher. The management talking about the results. Well, the other big story, both from a business point of view and a huge interest to pretty much everyone, has been the milk producers in Maharashtra who continue to be on a strike over falling prices, falling procurement prices. They are demanding higher prices be paid to them. The government, by the way, has also announced a 10% export incentive to states for dairy exports, although I think before this is implemented, there would be more deliberations, etc., which would have to be done. Devendra Shah is chairman of Parag Milk Foods, and he's with us right now. Mr. Shah, thank you for your time. Sir, first up, if you can just talk about this entire issue of procurement prices. So, what is the solution? Because farmers are saying, pay us, we get paid between 17 and 20 rupees, pay us more. Where is there going to be a compromise? What's going to happen?
Yeah, this is situation not in Maharashtra. This is a global situation because mostly into the Australia, New Zealand, and to the Europe, they are surplus with the milk and milk powders. That's why our milk earlier the SMP prices are so internationally down. That situation is coming with decreasing their rate, but this is a very temporary situation, I say. In another couple of 2 to 3 months, it's a come on the flat situation. Yeah, but again, yesterday, what the announcement from the central government, it is very golden opportunity to, like us company, to 10% duty drawback or incentive onto all export products.
You know, we want
earlier government
Mr. Shah,
just giving on the skim milk powder.
Yeah, we want you to explain that to us properly. So, but just a quick bit. We're just going to come back to you. But there's news on Sun Pharma which we want to address. This is the Halol unit. A product from that unit getting the approval after the EIR.
Yes, absolutely. In fact, we had flagged this off earlier in the morning, Prashant, with regards to this particular news, because they had received approval for this particular flu injection drug, Infugem. And at that point in time, we didn't know which plant they have received the approval from, because they had Halol, which is an injectables facility. They have Baska, which is also manufactures injectables, or it could have been from a third-party manufacturer. The only way of knowing was if the Sun Pharma management confirmed, and it has come through, that this is the first product that they've received approval from Halol post the EIR. So what this actually means is that Halol is back in business. We all knew that, yes, post the EIR, after 3 years of remediation and, inspections and to and fro with the US FDA, they had received an EIR with a go-ahead. But the proof of the pudding was that if they got an approval or not. So that has come through, and now you know for sure that Sun Pharma has got an approval for this particular drug, and that's the reason why you're seeing the stock actually spike up. It is confirmation that the Halol plant is back on track. Important news coming in for them. It's a small drug. Its market size is only $35 million. It wouldn't have moved the needle.
But it's not about the drug itself. It's about
exactly. So it wouldn't have moved the needle in any other case or in any other scenario. But it has moved the needle because it is the first product approval that they've received for an injectable from the Halol facility. So that's important news coming in for them.
Sun, by the way, I'm just looking at the price chart. I think the EIR came on the 8th of June, just looking at the bars on Sun. So, I mean, that time the stock went from 480 rupees the previous day to 530 odd rupees or so in a single day. So that was a big move, a 10% move essentially, or near a 10% move. And after that, it's gone higher. The recent high has been about 585 or so. But it again started to slip, and this will now should help sentiment, support the price. 555 is odd where Sun is now trading at. We'll come back to this with maybe an analyst view in a bit. But Devendra Shah, chairman of Parag Milks, is with us, and he was explaining the situation on the ground as far as milk procurement goes. Mr. Shah, just explain how, first of all, has the export incentive kicked in? Or this is just, they've just talked about it, and, it will at some point. And if it does, how will it work? Who will get the incentive and how will it work?
Okay, this export beneficiary of the 10%, it's for the all exporter who are the eligible for the export the product. Yeah, and for the earlier the government only giving under the skim milk powder. But this time government give you the all of the products, because skim milk powder is just like a commodity business. It's not really help, and this time government is specifically, it's all product for the cheese, for the butter oil, for the ghee, and this of the all variants into the powder also. Yeah, absolutely. We are doing the around 4 to 5% right now into the export.
Okay.
But with this benefit, we are reaching to under the double digit, around 8 to 10% in next another 6 months. Government, this scheme is announced for the next 6 months, and there is a good opportunity and the promotion offer like already we are exporting all our FMCG product into the Singapore, Hong Kong, Dubai, Middle East and Gulf, and
Mr.
around
Shah, so
all
this
neighbor countries.
This is aimed at evacuating some of the surplus products from the local market. I mean, is that what this is aimed at? To stabilize prices, maybe lift prices locally in the domestic
market? That's the aim? That's to stabilize, that's the government's aim to support to the Indian farmers for the milk prices. And this is a very one step. Next step they are taking, very good. Earlier we are importing, even today also, importing the whey protein and lactose and other powders also. Yeah. And now they are increasing the duty on that.
Okay. Which are the countries that you currently export
this product
to?
are importing in total.
Which are the countries that you currently export to?
Around Singapore, Hong Kong.
Okay.
Gulf, Middle East, Sri Lanka, Singapore, Hong Kong, this type of all 31 countries we are exporting all our consumer products. USA.
Okay. What are your
this
realizations?
Type of, all our cheese and ghee. Yeah, we sell all this on the local basis prices. Yeah, and today little bit tough because of international prices are low. But with 10%, this is a help me to the promotion and increase by our international export business also.
Okay, all right. So we're going to leave it on that note. Thanks very much for joining in and talking to us. So that is Parag Milk Foods. For Sun Pharma, just getting back, it's still holding with a gain of around 1.2%. So we're going to do one thing. We'll take a break, but on the other end, we'll try and get an analyst to talk about the impact of such an approval and what it means in terms of the pipeline of drugs which they have lined up from Halol. Plus, we'll get talking about the commodity and currency space as well. Well, let's get talking about the commodity and currency space. We have Manisha Gupta joining in to tell us what she's tracking today.
Gold. A one-year lows on that. Perhaps a good time to start buying. That is exactly what Bank of America Merrill Lynch survey report says, that this is a good time to start accumulating. But with the kind of cues we are working with right now, doesn't really encourage that that thought with you. So it's a one-year lows in case of gold prices and silver as well. We have seen the gold prices decline by 2% in the month of July. This actually is a fourth straight month where you have seen declines come in for the gold prices. This is especially after the Powell testimony yesterday, where he has talked about stronger jobs growth numbers and reinforced or reiterated that the central bank is on actually road to see further couple of interest rate hikes in 2018. Also, the kind of sell-off that you have seen in the crude oil prices has led to decline in case of gold. The investment demand has been on the weaker side. That's yet another reason. And of course, the markets also are looking at other asset classes making more money, and the precious metals clearly losing out to that. If you look at the long positions, those are at 2.5-year lows as well. So the speculative money also is not chasing this sector at this point in time. PR Somsundaram of World Gold Council now joins us to talk more about that. Som, hi, good to have you. What is your sense, first of all, on the kind of declines that we have seen in gold prices in the global markets, the impact on Indian markets as well?
Yeah, yes, it is at $1228. We have seen that last around 2014, early part of 2014, we did see these prices. So certainly it looks that it's a good time to buy. But closer home, again, we have seen the price increase over 2% compared with 2017.
Right.
If you really see. So it hasn't acted as much as a catalyst as the 2013 price decline did, you know, when we saw a huge demand upsurge. As of now, we see the, the prices in Indian markets are still probably not very attractive for the buyer. It's at 29,735 as of yesterday. So it's still about 1.7% higher than end of 2017.
Well, absolutely. So, it is the rupee depreciation which perhaps has cushioned the fall that we saw in the global markets. The Indian markets haven't seen that much of a decline. But I really want to drive home the point about the Indian demand, investment, jewelry, etc. That hasn't been very supportive. What are the numbers that you're working with?
Well, as you have seen the last quarter, we did see a decline, 12%. And it was one of the 9-year lows, particularly on jewelry. We saw a sharp decline. We have seen the second quarter figures will be released in the next couple of weeks. We have seen some come back during Akshaya Tritiya, but we would still think that the demand has not seen, the domestic demand for gold has not seen any major, what I would say, a positive driver yet. It is, I would say, it still continues to be more or less on the lines of last year, and that is why we have pegged this year's demand, as of now, despite good monsoons, etc., between 700 to 800, which is very similar to last year.
It usually is the second half or the last quarter of every year that we see a demand pickup in India. Do you see that instance repeating itself? Is there a hope on good numbers there?
Yes, it is. Taking that into account and taking the monsoon into account, the good monsoons into account, we have said that it would be in this range, 700 to 800, perhaps at the lower end of the range, because last year was 727. So, and we can't exactly say what the number would be, but it would be between 700 to 800. My expectation is that it would be at the lower end of the range, given all that has happened in the first half and what we see in the second half and the kind of price movements we have seen. The consumer feedback, I think it should be at the lower end of the range.
Sure.
So it's more or less like last year.
Sure. So just one final question. The jewelry demand actually has seen a dip in the Indian markets, and with what's happened with the diamond industry, back-to-back cases coming along, the banking, banks going stringent on finance assistance to many of those jewelry houses also perhaps, has that in any sense impacted the industry numbers and growth also?
Certainly. I think it is one of the very, very strong short-term factors which has affected demand. There is no doubt about it.
And we, of course, will continue to be hopeful, especially for the second half. Som, thank you so much for joining us. So, while the first half of this year hasn't been so great when it comes to the industry, gold demand and the sales as well, it always is the second half of this year. And especially with the prices going down for gold, you perhaps can be a bit hopeful for that industry.
Okay, all right, Manisha. Thanks very much for that. Well, that's the June aviation data which is flashing on your screen. Maybe we can get a comparison as compared to what it was in the previous month. But Jet Airways stands at 15%, Indigo at 41.3%, SpiceJet I think is at around 12% odd. Should flash by for you again. But Sun Pharma is the stock in focus now. We have Ameya Chalke of HDFC Securities joining in to discuss and to give his view on Sun Pharma now. Ameya, hi. Thanks very much for taking the time out. So first, approval for Sun from the Halol facility. How would you read it, and what are the lineup of products we can expect now?
So it is a good start, though I was expecting these approvals to start coming a little earlier. But yeah, they have received the first approval. And although this product is the marketable, addressable opportunity is quite small, I think it is an NDA product, and they will market this product in the US. And going ahead, we are expecting liposomal product approvals. Then there would be a Spark product launches from the Spark portfolio, which will happen.
Yeah, that's actually what I was going to come to, because it's actually Spark which has spiked up around 2% and that's been the case all through this whole entire Halol issue. Ellipsia, right, is expected to probably see the light of day soon?
Yeah, there are two products. One is Ellipsia and other one is Zelpros.
Zelpros, yeah.
Yeah. So those two are likely to be 25 to 50 million kind of opportunity for Sun.
Okay. But, Ameya, Spark is down 26% year to date. Sun Pharma has also not done much after the recent rally. It's still down around 2.5%. I mean, it's still not making money in 2018 as yet. How much of this news is probably already factored in according to you?
So I believe Halol resolution has already been factored in. What is not factored in is obviously the surprise launches which could happen from the Halol facility. And there are 2-3 injectable products which we are expecting, which could be big enough to move the needle on generic side. And which is not factored in is obviously the ramp up which is expected from the specialty side of the business.